ExeterMarine hosts world-leading researchers committed to understanding all aspects of the marine environment and our relationship with it. We have an established reputation of working collaboratively with industry, policymakers and conservation organisations to deliver innovative solutions to real-world problems. We nurture future generations of marine academics and practitioners through our research-led education with a global outlook. Over the course of 3 films, we will introduce you to some of the many faces of ExeterMarine. We'll explain why we've become such a centre for excellence, and we'll outline the key aspects of our Exeter Marine community.
My research focuses on life history traits of marine vertebrates, but with particular attention to sea turtles that I've been working on for over 25 years. It's really important to understand things like how long an animal lives for if you're going to understand the impacts of threats such as climate change and fisheries on these species.
My research focuses on the ecology and conservation of a diverse range of marine vertebrates, including turtles, sharks, seabirds, large pelagic fish, but generally always with a view to informing their protection in marine protected areas.
And I've got an ongoing project funded by the Natural Environment Research Council, collaborative with the Chileans, looking at rapidly deglaciating systems in West Antarctica.
I'm head of the Polar Aerosol group here. We're a modelling group, so we do a lot of coding, and we're very interested in aerosol and atmospheric composition in the polar regions and how that affects our climate globally.
My research is based on using optimization and artificial intelligence to improve the design and operation of marine renewable devices such as wind farms and tidal energy devices.
And to date, a lot of my research has focused on the economics of the marine. And lately, I've been moving a lot more into how the economics of the marine impacts on coastal communities and their health.
I'm interested in the emotional impact of scientific research and how we can tell the stories that scientists often discover through their research in ways that have an emotional impact on readers.
So my research is basically around looking at marine organisms and ecosystems and how they respond to environmental and human impacts.
My research is mostly around marine policy, marine environmental law, but my main particular area of interest is underwater cultural heritage and protection of shipwrecks.
And I work on the impacts of global challenges on marine invertebrates. And I work on things like ocean acidification, pollution, and obviously plastic pollution, and how those stresses impact those marine invertebrates.
My interests are all about how animals work and how they perform and do things that are cellular all the way up to the whole animal level is what I'm about.
My research focuses on the issue of plastic pollution within the marine environment.
And my research interests are largely around the migrations of animals and their foraging ecology, so essentially movements of animals and how that translates into the behaviours they make and the consequences and causes of those behaviours.
Through the ExeterMarine network, I was able to secure a postdoctoral research position where I went over to Ascension Island collecting data on the marine turtles out there, and then this led into a further 5 years on the island where I was involved in lots of different aspects of the conservation work out there, both terrestrial and marine.
I am an evolutionary ecologist who focuses on how risk and uncertainty shape adaptation.
And I research what our marine ecosystems look like in the past, how we have interacted with them, and how our ecosystems and our coastal communities have changed as a result of this.
My research studies the ecology and evolution of group living in animals. I have particular interest in toothed whales, looking at their social behaviour and life history evolution.
And I work in the marine environment, so I want to understand how antibiotic-resistant bacteria get into coastal bathing waters. And if we understand these things, then perhaps we can come up with effective mitigation strategies to protect the marine environment and human health.
And I am predominantly interested in understanding what drives population change of marine vertebrates and how they're affected by human actions in the oceans.
My research really is fairly broad and spans all the way from understanding reproduction in fish to understanding the consequences of pollution in the aquatic environment, and also to understanding how animals live in aquaculture and trying to improve the conditions in aquaculture.
And the work that we do studies how sensory systems work in animals and the way that it
or the way that they enable different species to interact with their environment.
And I work on environmental change and how that affects species distributions around the planet.
I have a specialism in ocean waves, in monitoring and analysis that I apply to engineering, oceanographic studies and climate science, and also supporting any infrastructure that's deployed in the sea, for instance novel aquaculture or developing aquaculture.
So I'm interested in how coastal communities use the marine environment, so that includes how they might have an impact on the marine environment, and also interested in understanding how we govern those interactions between people in the environment so that we can have a sustainable future.
My research is very, very broad. I cover all aspects of applied biotechnology. I look at microalgae, macroalgae, we even have projects working on shark egg cases at the moment.
My research has mainly involved looking at marine megavertebrates, but also things like jellyfish and their movements in the marine environment using biologging techniques, and also looking at contemporary satellite imagery and things to understand how they use the environment in different ways.
In relation to ExeterMarine and its research programme, I've been involved in assessing the success of marine protected areas in conserving populations of marine turtles. I've been involved in research projects with the National Lobster Hatchery, where we try to assess the ability of the hatchery to revitalise populations of native lobsters around the Cornish coast.
I'm currently doing something called photogrammetry, which is using images from drones to do 3D models of nesting areas for sea turtles, and we're studying how climate change will affect these nesting areas, specifically with sea level rise.
I'm a research fellow at the University of Exeter, and I'm mainly concerned about understanding how people use resources. And these could be marine resources, such as fishing and fishers in small communities, or these could be hunters in a protected area.
My research focuses both on the acoustic world of the oceans and then climate change and fisheries, working out how we can understand how warming seas change the fishing opportunities so we can future-proof fishing businesses.